الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the cherisher and the sustainer of this universe. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship besides Allah, and I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his final messenger. Today our topic is going to be about the educational Islamic movements in South Africa, where we give a brief synopsis on their activities and what kind of educational movements are found within the country. First and foremost, just to give a brief description, that in order for one to understand the educational landscape in South Africa, I have broken this up into 4 different segments. The first part that we need to understand is the education during the pre-colonial period, before the arrival of the Europeans in Africa. We'll find that the education was largely based on homestead. That means each and every home educated their youth. We'll find that education was more based on cultural norms. Each and every culture have their own unique way and standard of imparting education, which was, of course, in line with what was happening there. But also we had a communal setup where learners were taught. And then the second part of this, it is the arrival of the first Europeans or the colonialists in South Africa. And that is where we saw that when they came, they brought many of their influences in as far as education is concerned. They brought in their educational system and they started imparting it and promoting it within the country. And they started teaching it amongst the various indigenous people in such a way that we found schools like the Lovedale and many other schools that came that have targeted to teach especially the indigenous people. The second aspect as well, the third aspect, is that we look at the education in South Africa after the creation and the establishment of what we call apartheid, where the education was largely based on 3 main aspects, which was number 1, it was based on racial segregation. That means the system created education for each and every race in a country. We had education for whites, we had education for blacks, we had education for they call Asians, we had education for colored people. But also more than that, we find that the education was divided along the regional lines. Your Cape Colony had its own type of education. Your KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, which is the eastern part of the country, had its own education. Free State, Transvaal, and the many other what we call TPV states, they understand the small states that were around South Africa, which were based on chiefdoms. And also we know that another feature of the apartheid education was that it was based on Christianity. That means other religions like Islam, Hinduism, and many other African traditional religions were not recognized. Only Christianity was taught in the school as a subject, and all the schools were deemed to be Christian. So the education was more geared towards that. The other factor also with apartheid education was the issue of the language. Mainly your language was geared towards Afrikaans, which is a kind of a mixture of a Dutch language, this thing that was created especially by those who arrived here in South Africa. We know very well that there is an incident which we call 1976 uprising, where the students in Soweto, they rose in defiance in learning or in trying to resist the Afrikaans being used as the medium instruction in government schools. You see. So these were some of the 3 aspects. Now when you look at this, you'll find that for Muslim community now, it posed a lot of challenge, because as Muslims, Islam requires us to learn our religion, and we did not have our religion was not recognized as far as official government schools are concerned, which everybody, most of the people were there. And therefore, the first movement that we have seen in as far as education is concerned was the establishment of what we refer to as madrasa. Madrasa is an Arabic word which means a school, but to be specific in South Africa, this word, it refers to your Islamic studies sessions that will take place after school. What will happen was that in Madaris, the learners, they will go to school in the morning from 8 o'clock till about 2:30 and study secular education as prescribed by the government. And then in the afternoon, then we'll have what we call this madrasa system, where learners will go home, change, go to the nearest masjid, or some they use the schools in where they will learn your Islamic knowledge, your basic aqidah, your fiqh, sirah, and all this. So this was this institution that the Muslim created to impart education, because the environment at that particular time was not enabling them to do this thing. So we find that the Muslim established what we refer to as the madrasa. But the nice thing also about this madrasa is that we find that it has found resonance also within the new Muslim. We started seeing the black Muslims within the township as well adopting this similar method. So much so that many of the townships had this madrasa, and it eventually became a main tool to spread Islam in various township and rural areas in South Africa. For instance, now in Soweto, we had a Soweto Muslim Association that started, before even building a mosque, a very big madrasa under the stewardship of Said Ali. When we go to the area of Pretoria and Winterveld, we have Abba Zainab, who established a very good system of madrasa that is running up to today. For many years, it's been imparting Islamic knowledge to the indigenous children around the area, which was referred to as Winterveld Madrasa. When we go back in history, also we find that Imam Dawood Piri, who was based in KZN, one of the recorded first institution where Islamic was taught, he started a madrasa in the eastern part of the country, where he taught adult and children Islam at the shop that was given to him, but later he established his own one. We also, when we go to the western province, we had the likes of Imam Shamil Kola, Imam Lobi also, they started embarking on the same journey. So it became a vehicle by which the primary Islamic education was taught in the country. So this kind of Islamic education, it was mainly conducted after hours to Muslim children. It would run probably up to about grade 6 or grade 7. And therefore, as things were developing, came along and wanted to formalize this type of education. How did they formalize it? By creating education, by drafting curriculum that they will impart and give to the learners. Amongst those organizations that we know, which I'm not going to go into details, but I'll just mention a few of them, was your Lenasia Muslim Association, for instance. They had a very big and good madrasa. For many years they've been running successful, and they have their own curriculum that they've created to impart this thing. We have Sabri Chisti Madrasa as well that has been running for many years. In KZN, we have what you call Islamic Educational Organization, which is known IOSA. They have very fantastic curriculum that they have from class 1 right through up to class 12. Actually, many of the Muslim schools nowadays also have adopted their curriculum. They have been going to areas like Australia, New Zealand, trying to impart, to encourage people to use the similar thing. We also have your Jamiat Oulema that have got a syllabus that have formalized the madrasa system. In the Western Cape, I know of Masjid al-Quds that have a very good program as well that they've drafted, and there's many others. So these were some of the organizations that were there. But also you'll find that this madrasa system, almost each and every mosque in the country had this, where children will come and learn. Up to this day, we still find this kind of practices, or others will offer this kind of classes in their private residence, where students will come and learn, or they will go to the student houses to impart this kind of knowledge. Then the next part was the learning of the Quran. The learning of the Quran as well, it was taking place outside your formal structure, because at that time the government did not allow such a thing. So many of the mashayikh, like for instance, when you go to Western Cape, you'll find like Sheikh Saleh Habadi, one of the pioneers of the Quran in the country, Sheikh Buli, You find the institute like the Ameer's Farm. Those were institutes that were dedicated specifically in producing Hufaz. And there were many other individuals as well who carried out these missions of teaching the Muslim student Quran, producing multiple thousands and thousands of Hufaz. I know in Soweto we have our own esteemed Hafiz Adam, who has been there from the day of inception and has been running a Hifz school in Soweto, teaching the children there how to memorize the Quran. These were some of the effort and some of the movement that we found in as far as teaching the Quran is concerned. Now, the other section of higher Islamic education that we have, it is what we refer to as Darul Ulum. Darul Ulum. This is the concept that was adopted from your Darul Ulum Deoband, which uses your Iraqi system that is referred to as Dars al-Nizami. We have many of such institutions in South Africa that are running. The first one being the Darul Ulum Newcastle that was started by Maulana Sema in the 70s, and it is existence up to today, and it has produced many ulama, and mostly from the township and rural areas who have graduated and have studied there. Normally the period that will spend is between 6 and 7 years, and the courses that are offered there, it is your memorization of the Quran, it is your Alim course where you study Bukhari, all 9 books, and many others, various Islamic sciences such as fiqh, usul fiqh, Arabic grammar, nahwa and sarf, and many other things as well. But also you could go for a specialization course where you do iftar, you qualify in passing judgment and giving fatwas, and as far as Islam is concerned, one could also qualify in the field of qira'at, the various qira'at, where you become what we refer to as a qari. But the thing with the Darul Ulums in South Africa is that they do not form part of the mainstream education, neither are they recognized by the authorities or by the system. So they operate independently. The students they study there, but they are not graded as other educational institutions in the country that offer various education. So you'll find that this was some of the challenge, but it's been going on, and alhamdulillah, many ulama have been produced and have come through the system. Moving to another aspect also, we have what you call Muslim schools. This phenomenon started taking place basically after the end of apartheid, post-apartheid period, which is 1994. We saw that the Muslims, after the country became the right to religion was guaranteed and everybody was allowed to practice their religion, Muslims established Muslim school solely to impart Islamic knowledge to the learners, but also at the same time during your notional time between 8 and 2 or 8 and 3 as part of the school curriculum. Currently in South Africa, we have plus minus 68 Muslim schools spread across the country, with a vast majority found in Cape Town, Johannesburg and Durban, but you still find in many other provinces. Wherever you will find a Muslim community, somehow you will be able to find a Muslim school there. Now, there is an umbrella body that caters, that takes care of the school. It is called the Association of Muslim School. It is the one that is responsible for looking and providing guidance, developing policies, and giving strategic and continuous training to various schools, both in secular and Islamic studies. So what differentiates Islamic school from other government schools is that in Islamic school, basically your Islamic studies are catered within your normal time. As I explained earlier on previously, Muslims had to go to school in the morning and attend Islamic studies in the afternoon. But in Islamic school, your Islamic studies subjects are within your notional time, between the school time. There's no need to go in the afternoon. So much so that this has developed in such a way that many of the schools also have involved and inculcated Hifz in their programs. They offer Quranic memorization program as part of the whole school curriculum. And apart from that as well, we have various independent organizations that are running various small soft courses that are short. One of them probably will be called Siafunda, that is specializing in your IT and ICT sector. It's a Muslim-run organization that is promoting your IT education and various things. We have many other organizations, Al Tawheed, offering soft skills in as far as training is concerned, your baking, your sewing. Al-Iman Foundation, I know as well, they have a similar thing. Over and above that, the Muslim community in South Africa have as well established what we call your Dawah Institute. These are boarding Muslim schools that are initially targeted at imparting Islamic knowledge and secular to the new Muslims that have recently embraced Islam. And they would take the student, come stay there. While they're attending school, they'll be learning Islam as well and being taught. Up to, some of them will go up to grade 9, some of them will grow up to matric. One of the school is what you call Islamic Educational Institute, which was established by the late stalwart Sheikh Ahmed Didat in the 50s. It's running up to today, and it is having various components within its system. There is a school that starts from grade 0 up to grade 12. There is an Islamic leadership program where new Muslims come and learn spend about 3 to 4 years studying Islam and well equipped. There is also a skills program where learners can learn various skills and trade like electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, office administration, and commerce or commercial related subject. The other institute is called Injanga Islamic Institute. These are some of the oldest of these Dawah missionary schools, that Islamic missionary schools that we have in South Africa. It's called Injanga, that has been running for many years. It's been established by the likes of Dr. Tutla. It is based also in KZN. We have, I know there are 2, and there are many others as well, but I know there is what we call Verlam Islamic Institute for girls. It also operates on the same premise, but it's for females. There is the Mzinto Hostel that operates the same thing. We have also Escort Islamic Center that has both boarding for boys and girls, but in separate distinct. They also specialize in promoting and teaching learners. They even have a full-time Hifz program. There are many others as well. Al-Tawheed, which was started by Sheikh Abdul Salam Pasyuni. They've got many centers around the country where they're running, but the biggest one is here in Enadale, where they're running Hifz and school and various different programs that are there for imparting knowledge. And then also, we have what we call your recognized Islamic higher education institutes that were established. And one of them is what we call International Peace Islamic College of Southern Africa, which offers Islamic studies and is recognized by the qualification authorities within the country. And we also have Medina Institute that is recognized. Both these institutes go up to postgraduate studies in as far as Islamic studies is concerned. And one can come up there with a recognized qualification that is considered, that is accepted within many other universities. But more than that as well, there are various universities in the country that offer Islamic studies, such as the University of Cape Town, University of Western Cape, University of South Africa, University of Johannesburg, and University of KwaZulu-Natal. These are universities that have Islamic studies within their programs, and learners can learn. There is also a kind of educational support group that is created for various Muslim. It is called the Muslim Student Association. It's there to look after the affairs of the Muslim, to promote the Muslim, to build the leadership capacity, to make sure that they entrench the idea of creating very good Muslim within the tertiary environment. The Muslim Association has been there since the 70s and is found in almost in each and every university campus that is there in South Africa. But also, we know very well that the tertiary education in South Africa is very expensive. And given the high levels of poverty and unemployment in the country, Muslims have established various organizations or bursary fund to help those who are in need to be able to access education. Apart from many other government and corporate programs, Muslims also have various programs that offer this kind of situation. One of them being the South African National Zakat Fund Bursary Program. You have your Jamiatul Oulema, both Jamiatul Oulema in Gauteng and in KZN, they offer bursary. We have your Memon Foundation of South Africa that offers bursary as well. And there are many other individuals that give bursaries on their own, from their own pockets as business people. Some of the masajids I know, I think it's the Marabastad and the Queen Street Masjid. They have some bursary programs amongst the expenses of the masjid, where they help and they sponsor students who cannot afford to access the university education in the country. So these, in a nutshell, are some of the movements that have been created across the country to promote and build Islamic education and various other education as well that are found within the country based on the needs. The Muslims, if one looks at the Muslims in South Africa, you'll find that they have really done very well in as far as promoting and creating Islamic education in such a way that you find many organizations that are doing this. We even have the likes of the Arabic Study Circle that is there to promote the learning and the teaching of Arabic language amongst the Muslims in South Africa. We have Jamiat al-Qur'an that are dedicated to promoting and learning and teaching, producing hufaz in the country. So, you know, when you look at the role that the Muslims have played in South Africa, it is what we can refer to as a holistic role. Holistic in a way that it touches almost each and every aspect of education and of society. How so? In a way that we don't only have Islamic schools, we have your madaris system, which are your primary education system. We have your high school, which are your Islamic schools. We have your higher education, Darul Ulum, that teaches your traditional way of learning Islam. We have your modern way as well, if you want to learn Islam via IBSA, Medina Institute, or various universities that is there. But also at the same time, Muslims have created a vehicle by which they promote education by helping those who are in need within the Muslim education to realize their educational dream, especially from the disadvantaged background and those who cannot afford the universities. But also the other part of holistic approach is that the educational establishment in the country can be accessed by almost everyone, both Muslims and non-Muslims. As I mentioned earlier on, that there are institutions that are geared towards the promotion of dawah activities in the country, catering specifically for new Muslims, teaching them Islam, but also making sure that educationally these kind of Muslims are empowered and they are able to stand up on their own 2 feet. And some of the schools, by the way, when the students finish the high school, they are sponsored to go carry on with their tertiary education. But also you'll find within the Muslim schools, almost each and every school has got what they call a Zakah program, where they help the indigent within the community, those who cannot afford to pay for private tuition, since the schools are not getting any funding from the government. The school fees seems to be a bit steep. So these institutions, they offer help to this kind of individuals, to this kind of student, so that also they can have the benefits of the Islamic school. And they have played a very significant role, and they are recognized as one of the best institutes in the country as well. So this is what I mean when I say the educational movement in South Africa within the Muslim community. It is very much comprehensive in a way that it touches each and every aspect of education. It is not only a one-sided that they focus only on academic and ignoring Islamic studies, or they focus on Islamic studies and ignoring the other part. Yes, there might be institutes that are specializing in various fields. We even have your short courses that one will learn for new Muslim. You'll have your what we call your Imamat courses, which is for 2 years. We will have your short skills courses for those individuals who are not geared towards academic world, but are given skills to be able to survive. They can learn sewing, they can learn electrical, they can learn plumbing, they can learn tiling, and many other skills that will be enable them to give them a livelihood. I saw recently as well, there was a course as well on beekeeping that was taught to various students in the country. So this is the brief landscape of what education movement are all about in South Africa. There are many that I haven't mentioned that are playing a very important role in promoting education. There are many trusts as well that have been created in ensuring that they promote both Islamic and secular education, but also they promote your primary and your secondary schooling education in life. So this, in a nutshell, it is synopsis of how the educational Islamic landscape it is in South Africa. Actually, the Darul Uloom have reached a level whereby they're even attracting international students from different countries, Russia, Indonesia, Philippines, in our continent, beautiful continent of Africa. Many of the students are coming to study here and gain Islamic knowledge, not only in your traditional Islamic institute, but also in your main universities. وآخر الدعوان أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. شكرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.